From the School of Journalism and Strategic Media, here's Blue Raider Extra Point.
Hello everyone and welcome to Blue Raider Extra Point. I'm Abigail Martin, joined alongside Chase Owens and with Will Stevenson. We are here back in studio at the School of Journalism and Strategic Media, and it is time to get caught up on what is happening around Conference USA and with your MTSU Blue Raiders. Let's go ahead and kick it off. First up, we've got Lori Hickey for this week's starting lineup.
The starting lineup.
The Blue Raiders have been in full swing this week. Let's take a look at some highlight and what is in store for the upcoming week. First up to bat, we have the MTSU baseball team. After splitting Saturday's doubleheader, the Blue Raiders dropped the final game of the weekend series at UTSA on Sunday. Next up, we have the Lady Blue Raiders softball team. This weekend, they face Marshall at home. MT took a 2-1 game lead in the series with a 9-5 win in Game 3 on Saturday. On Sunday, the Raiders wrapped up their series win with Marshall with a score of 6-2. The women's soccer team finished up their season Friday night with a win versus Marshall. Ashley Schimberg tied the Blue Raiders record by scoring 4 goals in the 7-2 win. Sunday afternoon, the Middle Tennessee men's tennis team dropped their final road match of the season to number 31 Memphis. The Raiders will wrap up their regular season Friday when they host Georgia State for Senior Day. Now back to you.
You know, Will, what might not get talked about a lot is the fact that that huge series against Marshall for the MTSU softball team was just that. It was massive. Before this series, they were actually 1-6 in their last 7 games before it. So getting those 3 wins was just huge for this team, especially now that they've got about 3 conference series left before conference tournament time.
Absolutely. And Ashley Schimberg also for the soccer team going into Marshall and scoring 4 goals of her own in a dominant win, tying a MTSU record for goals in a game. Just an absolutely great weekend for MT Athletics.
And yeah, we really just dominated Marshall. The only people that got us were those daggone Roadrunners from Texas. But we've got to keep going. Let's get things rolling over to Nathan Vaughn for this week's Big Blue Review.
The Big Blue Review.
MTSU football is back in action as spring practice reaches its apex as players compete for starting spots and new faces look to replace the departed in the starting lineup. The Blue Raiders are coming off a second straight season without a bowl appearance, and the number one question hanging over the MT program is, who will replace departed starting quarterback Asher O'Hara? North Carolina State transfer Bailey Hockman looks to be the favorite for the position, with Chase Cunningham and Mike DeLelio remaining in the hunt with the final week of spring practice on the horizon.
Bailey threw some nice balls, hit Jaron on a touchdown, hit CJ on a touchdown. Threw a beautiful corner ball down in the corner that got out on the 1 and the 2.
The MT baseball team hit the road for a 4-game series against UTSA over the weekend. Outside of an 8-inning win in the first road game of a doubleheader on Saturday, the Blue Raiders were unable to handle the Roadrunners, losing 3 of 4 in San Antonio. The road trip leaves the Blue Raiders with a record of 16, 14, and 1 on the season, and MT will need to get back on track quickly with a big 3-game series against rivals WKU coming up this week. Back in the borough, the weekend did go well for MT softball, which picked up 3 out of 4 games against the Marshall Thundering Herd. After dropping the first game of a doubleheader on Friday, the Lady Raiders won 3 straight. The wins put MT over 500 on the season and put the Lady Raiders only 2 games back of Eastern Division leaders Charlotte. Much like the baseball team, the Lady Raiders also have a massive 4-game series against WKU this weekend. MT, however, is looking for its first win over the Hilltoppers in Murfreesboro since May of 2015.
Thanks, Nathan. And Chase, we were able to sit out and watch the MTSU football team during their practice last week, and we had a little bit of a conversation about this quarterback position. What do you think is going to happen this next year between who's competing?
Well, first and foremost, I don't really know a lot about the North Carolina State, transfer, so I can't really speak on him. But Chase Cunningham, I do know a lot about him, and he's a talent, man. He's got a huge arm. He can basically throw from anywhere inside the pocket, and you just kind of know that it's going to the right target. And so I know that this is going to be a really heated battle. And also, if you're an MT faithful and you really support this football team, you've got to have the ultimate trust in Coach Brent Dearman. He's the quarterback's coach. He's the offensive coordinator. I've known him for a long time, and so just knowing him and knowing that he's going to put that position to be successful on the field, you just got to trust him. And whoever he puts out there, whether it be one or the other, it's going to be for the best. So now that we've talked and taken a look at MT athletics, let's check out the rest of the conference with my man, Dylan Taylor, and Around the CUSA.
It's not every week that you see something that you've never seen before, but this week, Hope Troutwine accomplished a feat for North Texas softball that's believed to be the first occurrence in the history of the sport. In the Mean Green Sunday matchup versus Arkansas Pine Bluff, the senior pitcher struck out every batter she faced on the way to a 21 strikeout perfect game. It is believed to be an NCAA first and is the first perfect game to take place in North Texas history. The Mean Green went on to win the game by a score of 3-0, and social media took notice as Troutwine's performance took Twitter by storm and had her trending with outlets like The Sporting News, The Guardian, and even SportsCenter picking up the performance. Old Dominion came into this weekend riding an 8-game winning streak before their series with Florida Atlantic. After 2 convincing wins in the Saturday doubleheader, FAU did manage to prevent the sweep on Sunday. Before Sunday, the Monarchs also boasted an undefeated mark on the road so far this season. But Old Dominion's impressive performance has vaulted them into the top 25 of D1 Baseball's rankings. They are now the 3rd team from the Conference USA to be featured in this week's rankings, sitting right behind Charlotte at number 22. Louisiana Tech continues to impress as they have jumped to number 14 and are playing among the best in the nation right now. Looking at things from a conference standings perspective, Charlotte and Old Dominion sit at 1st and 2nd in the Eastern Division. We'll find out a lot about these two teams in the next couple of weeks as they are slated to face each other in 8 straight games that will certainly shake up the top of the standings. After them, it's quite a drop to WKU and FAU sitting at 6-6 and 5-7 respectively. In the West, Louisiana Tech sits in 1st, but Southern Miss is not far behind at 8-3 and 21-9 overall. UTSA, MTSU, UAB, and Rice all sit at least 2 games back of 2nd place. With MTN Sports, I'm Dylan Taylor.
So I know that those kind of last standings graphics kind of throw you for a loop, and they kind of worry you a little bit. Oh my gosh, MTSU is in 5th place on their side. But the games are 4-game series on every weekend, and MTSU has a chance to go 3-1 or maybe even sweep a series. That vaults them right up there to the number 2 spot. So I wouldn't have too much worry of the fact that they're that low, because any given weekend they could jump right up to number 2.
And all it is their travel. If they can get a better record on the road, then they're fine, because their home record is being pretty dominant. But if they can start winning some series on the road, that is their ticket to having a good season.
And you know what? It is the time to do it, because MTSU baseball is going to be traveling over to foe Western Kentucky University for a 4-game series. So with that, let's swing it over. There is a big matchup this weekend, Western Kentucky, MTSU baseball. So Zachary Lone is going to tell us all about it in this week's scouting report.
The 100 Miles of Hate is hitting the diamond this weekend as MTSU travels to Western Kentucky. The Hilltoppers are coming off of a big 4-game sweep against Marshall this past weekend, scoring 5 or more runs in their last 3 games against the Herd. Jackson Gray is having a nice season so far for the Hilltoppers, as he is batting .400 on the year, which leads the team. He's also 2nd in home runs with 2. Jackson Gray is having a nice season so far for the Hilltoppers, as he is batting .400 on the year, which leads the team. He's also 2nd in home runs with 2. He gets on base once every 2 at-bats so far in the year, so he is definitely someone that MTSU needs to keep an eye out for. Jake Cates is leading the Hilltoppers in ERA with a 2.16, and this has resulted in a 3-1 record so far in the year. He also has the most strikeouts on the team with 63. WKU may struggle scoring runs, but do a great job of not making mistakes, as 19 players have a fielding percentage of 1,000. MTSU is playing their 2nd straight series away from Reese. They lost a previous series at the University of Texas San Antonio. Something to watch for the Blue Raiders this weekend is how aggressive they will be on the base paths. With 4 players having an on-base percentage of .375 or better, the Blue Raiders have attempted 104 stolen bases this year and have successfully stolen 75. Only 9 runners have tried to test Western Kentucky on the base paths, and only 4 successfully stole a base against them. The defense behind the Blue Raiders pitching staff has also been stellar, as the team has a fielding percentage of .972. The Blue Raiders have already allowed 26 home runs on the year, but they have only hit 21. The long ball could be a key in this very heated rivalry. Back to you.
So, while it is the 100 Miles of Hate week, we got to talk some crap on MTSU and on WKU, it seems like. So let's get the negative about MTSU out of the way first, and it's the fact that WKU has kind of owned this series. I mean, they've won 34 against the 28 wins MTSU has, and they've kind of dominated it from home, which is unfortunately where MTSU is going to be at this weekend. 19-8 at home in Bowling Green, Kentucky. So that's some stuff about about WKU that has messed us up. But the positive for MTSU is that, one, they've won the past 2 series, and one of those was actually in Bowling Green, and they've done it rather easily. They swept them the last 2 times these teams played, and then the time before that they won it 2-1. So this team has got some competitive edge going against WKU, and I believe in the Blue Raiders.
I think that's an interesting point, and the thing is too, like as Will was just saying, MTSU struggles on the road. Western Kentucky is great at home, which is where they're going to be meeting at. But I think this game is going to come down to, of course, your fundamentals. It's going to come down to who's going to win each inning, but especially that first inning, because that does say a lot about your team of where they're going to be and the momentum for the rest of the game. So it's going to come down to a few big plays, I believe, as well, but leadership has got to step up. But with that, we are going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to have our picks for MTSU's matchups this week. Stick around for more Blue Raider Extra Point.
Time for more Blue Raider Extra Point.
And welcome back to Blue Raider Extra Point. I'm Abigail Martin alongside Chase Owens and with Will Stevenson. All right, everybody, it is almost time for the picks, but before we do that, we have to wish a big congratulations to women's tennis Lydia Burrows for making Blue Raider history all-time singles wins leader with 92. So big congratulations to Lydia Burrows. But now, I think it's time for the picks. So this week, 2 teams will be facing off against their Conference USA rivals, Western Kentucky University, as we talked about a little bit earlier. The MTSU Blue Raiders baseball team will travel for the weekend for a 4-game series.
So I think that they're going to tie this series. I know I mentioned earlier how they needed to get hot on the road, but WKU is a tough opponent to do that. And I think that splitting the series at Bowling Green is a win for the Blue Raiders.
And I'm kind of right there with him. I mean, you're coming off of a really tough series against UTSA. You did not show your best baseball, and that's just a tough pill to swallow, especially after, the weekend before where you dominated against a really solid team in Rice. And so I think that Will's right. I think we do bounce back a little bit. We gain some of that momentum back, and we split the series with WKU.
I think that's definitely a safe bet, and especially as you were mentioning, confidence is down. This is the time to take it to the next level and see not only for the series, but how the rest of the season is going to play out. If you have a time to prove yourself, I think I say this every week, but this is also a time to prove yourself for whether it be setting the tone for on the road or even just as a team morale. This is the time to do it. So I'm going to go with MTSU splitting with this one. I think it's a little safe that I'm agreeing with you guys, but whatever. The softball team will host the 100 Miles of Hate as well for a 4-game series.
Now this one, we're at home. Our MTSU softball team has been done pretty well at home. They face some pretty tough matchups at home. I think they're going to take this series 3-1.
And we also saw just kind of a bounce back. I mean, they were playing a really hot Marshall team. Marshall's batting was astronomical, and this weekend, besides that first game where they kind of got ran over by Marshall, they really held themselves together. They dominated the bats. They had more hits than Marshall every game after that first game, and so the fact that MTSU has done that, I think Will's right. I think we actually come in here and we take care of business.
Absolutely. Western Kentucky softball team is struggling a little bit, whether it be from cancellations, postponements, but especially right now on a losing record. So they're also coming to MTSU, where MTSU softball has showed their strength as well. I think they're going to take care of business for this week. Next up, the ATC boys. They will be playing their last home game of the season. They look to finish their season undefeated at home, completing the 29th consecutive home win as they face off against Georgia State.
And what a streak that is now, because with Wake Forest taking down North Carolina, they now have the longest home streak in college tennis. And North Carolina was riding #1 seed for quite a while until they just got taken over by Florida. But they're still in that 2, pretty comfy. We haven't seen how that Wake Forest win affected them yet, but that it's still a very big win in our favor. Myself and Chase are actually going to be on the call for that on CUSA.TV, so make sure you tune into that. We cannot see these Blue Raiders take a loss on their last home match. 29 is where they're going to finish at. I'm going with them all the way.
It's a lot of confidence for no Wood to be sitting around.
I mean, man said it all. I mean, that's a lot to come from the man, but I got to go with Will on this one. I mean, I think we agreed on every single pick, and why would I change now? The ATC boys, as we like to call them, and I'm loving that name. It holds up, man. They have really dominated at home this season. I mean, you talk about 28 consecutive wins in any sport, no matter the level of difficulty, no matter where you're playing at. That's huge. I mean, that's astronomical. So the fact that they've done that, and the fact that they're going to make it 29 on Friday is even better.
Coach Borndame told Will, protect the ATC boys. Now it is time for the ATC boys to protect ATC and that record. Y'all are going to be on the call. Going to be a lot of great energy. So I'm super excited to see y'all doing that on Conference USA TV if y'all would like to tune in. Of course you want to. But I have to go with MTSU as well. I mean, they've shown nothing but strength, perseverance, and you can't argue against a 28 home record dating back for years. So I have the MTSU Blue Raiders as well.
Check out Blue Raider Extra Point on Instagram and Twitter.
All right, y'all, I think that is the most we have ever agreed in this whole time of doing this show, so we're going to end it there just to be safe. Thank y'all so much for tuning in today. Make sure to tune in every Wednesday at 6 p.m. And be sure to check us out on Twitter and Instagram for more information on the show.
And if you missed any of this episode or any of our previous episodes, you can check those out on our website at middletennesseenews.net. Thank you for watching, and have a great weekend. We agreed on all those picks.
Yeah, kind of.